Hey guys, welcome back to Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. This is Janie, and welcome back to a new episode. On today, I am speaking with Yandea. All right, she has an amazing story and a beautiful message to humanity. She went through a near-death experience, and she really got some amazing messages once she was tapped in on the spiritual side. So we're going to hear all about it. We're going to kind of tap a little bit deeper because her overall message is one that I love speaking about. So welcome to the podcast, Yandia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, all that good stuff before we kind of dive in.
Okay, so you already said my name is Yandea, and I am a wife to a wonderful man and a mother of five beautiful children, four boys, one girl. My girl is right in the middle. I am an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for, my goodness, like 20 years, right? All surrounding just healing and helping people manifest their higher selves, manifest their dream life. It's what I've been gifted to help people accomplish. So just I've been doing this like ever since I was a little girl. I have certain gifts. It's kind of in my family. And so just learned a lot from my grandfather, who was also a healer, a shaman. And then I've just been, you know, learning and growing and understanding, the spiritual side of things. And as you mentioned, I had a near death experience. I actually don't even like calling it near death because that has a whole thing with it, but I usually say a closer to life experience.
Yeah, and I can understand that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
life changes when you have such amazing experiences. You're
Right.
never the same.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right. There's so much I want to dive into because I want to dive into your grandfather being a healer and how those gifts you had them as a little girl and how you recognize them. Because I think people have them,
Mhm.
but sometimes it's not cultivated in the family or
Yeah.
for whatever reason. So we're
Yep.
going to talk about that because I think that's important. But let's kind of jump in. Let's jump into your story.
Yeah. So, um, well, let's see. Where do you want to start from? When you say
So
this,
let's talk
start from the
about
date
what happened in 2014.
in 20, you mean 2024, like that?
2024, I'm sorry, 2024,
Because I'm
yes.
like, things happened in 2014.
Last year.
2024, yes, last year. Yes. So last year, January 15, I was pregnant and I ended up I started bleeding and so on. And so we went to the emergency. And then while I was at the emergency, I was waiting for quite a long time. It was like 3.5 hours. I was waiting to be seen by a doctor. And finally I was seen by the doctor. And while I was in there, I ended up miscarrying the baby, like having a full miscarriage. And um I was sent I was sent home. But before I left to go home, I went to the washroom. And while I was in the washroom, I started feeling like my hands getting cold, going numb. Because I had to like turn the pipe, close the pipe, and I like couldn't feel my feet. I couldn't feel my feet. They were also feeling cold, and it was just like, how am I gonna get out of this washroom? Because I can't even feel, as I'm walking. But I managed to get out. My husband was waiting outside for me, and I pretty much like collapsed into his arms and onto a chair that was there. And that's like all I remember,
Mhm.
right? As far as being here. The next thing from that point was I was under what felt like water. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it's not this type of water, that we have here, but it felt like water in the sense that when I looked up above me, I could see like a light and I could see something like waves. So I was seeing a light and then waves, right? So that's really what gave me the feeling like I was almost in like the bottom of a lake or the ocean or something like that.
Mhm.
And when I looked through the light, I can see my husband, on the other side. So there's waves and in the light, but I could see him in that area. And so as soon as I thought about getting to him, I just went, up to where he was. And I could also, although like I could only see through that light area, I could sense like other people in the hospital. Like I knew what was happening in the hospital.
Mm.
And so that was the first thing that was very weird to me, that like I was able to know everything, although I wasn't seeing it. And it wasn't a guess. It was like I knew that there was a male doctor, a male nurse who was talking to another nurse who was aware of what was happening to me, who was now leaving and coming down the hall. I could see it all in like almost like in my mind, not through my eyes, but I could see it. And but through this light, I could clearly see my husband on the side, and I wanted to go through and to get to him, but I couldn't. Just something about the waves were keeping me on
Like
the.
you were separated by a veil or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's nothing that I could describe. Like it didn't have a feeling or anything. It was just these waves that were, you know, it's almost like it, I said it felt like the waves gave that feeling of like water, but I wasn't wet or anything like that, or cold or whatever the case is. It, like if you could think of like a light wave, like light waves, it was like that in front of.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't go through, and I kept trying to go through, like trying to get to him. And I could see him. I could see all of his worry. I could see everything, but he couldn't hear me and I couldn't get to him. And I just got so tired. I was doing this for so long trying to get out to him that I just lost all my strength and I just sunk back to the bottom. And next thing I know, the nurse who was there was saying, are you back now? Are you back with us? Are you coming back? I was hearing her voice and my eyes were like, just like if you're sleeping and you're waking up, kind of.
Yeah.
And I was seeing into this realm and I was like, oh, okay, like I'm back here. And then they put me onto a stretcher and all that stuff. And then shortly after, I was discharged after they took like my blood pressure. I was discharged and said like, go
So
home.
were
And
you stable? Like after all that, were you?
no, I had to be wheeled out. I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't even walk. I was put in a wheelchair and they just literally checked my blood pressure and they're like, okay, you're good. And I won't get into this whole part, but I have spoken to other doctors who have told me that the amount that my blood pressure was at when they discharged me with what had happened, I should have never been discharged. Like I should have at least be like been kept there for at least a night to be observed after what had happened.
Yeah.
And so every medical person that I've spoken to has been like, that wasn't right, you know? Yeah.
It's interesting. Were you actively hemorrhaging at that time? Like when you were feeling
Yes.
your
Yes.
hands? Okay.
Yes. Yes. When they discharged me, I was already hemorrhaging. Yeah.
And you were told that you were miscarrying, that
Oh
you should
yeah.
go
Yep. I
home
was
and
told,
finish
yeah.
it out.
Yep. I was
Okay.
told that, yeah, that this is what's happening. And, you know, I'll send someone in to help you clean up, is what the doctor said. I'll send someone in to help you clean up. And then that was it. Someone came in with some like water or whatever, like a basin thing with water and stuff. And they're like, here you go. And bye. Really,
Okay.
that's how it was.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
go back home.
So I go back home and I'm laying on the couch, right? My husband's in the kitchen doing something, maybe preparing something for him. We had been in there for all that time. So and then after I realized like this bleeding is not stopping. And I mean, it's not just I'm not gonna get graphic, but like any woman would know this is
Yeah.
not normal. This is it would like alarm anybody. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how heavy your cycle is. This would alarm anybody. And
Yeah. Like were you were bleeding through your clothing. You were clearly
oh,
going through your
thing
clothing,
is,
all that.
I had those like blue pads,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had those that like nothing. Like I had that. I had also what they gave at the hospital, which are like not comfortable, but I had all of
Yeah.
that. I actually had on one of those like they gave me one of those, what is it called? Like almost like Depends, they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
what
know
they gave me.
exactly what you're talking
And
about.
that was like nothing. And yeah, so and it was just constant, right? Constant. And I was thinking, there's no way I could lose this much blood in this little time and be okay. Like at a certain point, this is gonna be, fatal. And
How far in pregnancy were you at that time?
I was at 12 weeks, so just like kind
Okay.
of, yeah,
Okay.
finishing up the first trimester. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and so even for being there, you shouldn't have to be bleeding that much, right?
Yeah.
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 So all of those things were just signs that like something was very wrong. And then I started feeling like, well, I remember my husband was like, oh, maybe you should like sit up, let's bring you to the bedroom or whatever to be more comfortable. And I just kind of made a little movement, just a little movement up to like kind of sit up, not even my body, just my head, like starting to go. And immediately I felt all that darkness that I
Mm,
had the first time just starting to come back. I felt my hands getting cold again, my feet, it just creeps up on you. Like it's
mm.
just, it's the worst feeling, honestly. It's like, immediately that it's not supposed to, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, you just immediately know. Somehow intuitively, you're just like, oh no, right? And so I said to my husband, it's happening again. And they had told us in the hospital, like, oh, if you feel that, just put your feet up, it's just loss of blood, like it's like nothing. Like they pretty much were saying that I was having a reaction to seeing that much blood coming out. Like they thought
Mhm.
my reaction wasn't actually because I was, had lost that much blood, but because it was just seeing that much blood. I guess some people are, they have reactions to seeing blood, but I'm
Yeah.
not one of those people. So
And you were actively bleeding.
I was, yes. Like I would love to describe it so you could actually know. Maybe after this I'll let you know, but it
Yeah.
was might be a bit too graphic for people, but it was intense. And so I ended up you know, telling my husband, like, no, it's happening again. And I think after I said that, yeah, that's about all I said to him. It's happening again. He rushed to the couch and I held on to the back of the couch, because I was laying like sideways. I kind of sat, held on to the back of the couch because I could feel my spirit just leaving out of my body. I could feel it. And so I was like holding on to the couch just to kind of have some sort of grounding in this in this room, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. And then I went over to the other side. And this kept happening back and forth. I would be over there, come back into my body, say something to my husband, go back again, and then it was just this back and forth. um and then once that was done, obviously the ambulance, they came back to the house and then they brought me back to the hospital. um and then that's where there was another doctor who's a good doctor who actually examined me. It was my first examination. She examined me and she was able to stop the problem, and so on. But the whole that part of being on the couch, going in and out of my body, so many things happened during that time. Like I saw my life review, which is the first thing that happened when I first went onto the other side. It was seeing my life review, and that was, I mean, people are always, there's so much about the life review. People see it differently. And since sharing my NDE, I actually have heard so many other NDEs, right? Like obviously you share on a channel, then they have other. So I'm like, wow, we all kind of experience, there's certain things that are the same, but there's a lot of things that are very different. And for me, when I entered into that place, the very, very first thing that I said to myself was like, oh, I'm here. Very different from when I had the first experience in the hospital where I was underwater and all that feeling. I wasn't underwater. I was in darkness, not scary darkness. Everybody always thinks that darkness is scary. Not scary at all. It's just like you're just not in the world. You know what I mean? You're just not in the world. It's just like void of this stuff. It's not a bad thing, And so, anyways, I was there and I could feel this presence with me. I never saw any face or any figures, any angels or anything like that. I personally don't think I needed to see it because I had already experienced so many things in my life on earth where I'd seen a lot of things in the spirit realm. I don't think it was necessary for
You
me
had
to.
the knowing. You had
I
the
already, yeah, it was like
yeah.
not necessary, for me to to see it. And especially when I think about what I would return to do, I could really understand why Most High didn't um, make the focus of this experience seeing things, because I think a lot of people get caught up on, like I get this question a lot, like, did you see Jesus?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's like, if I did, I probably would not tell you, to be honest. Like if I did, I probably would not, because people get so hooked on things like the race and the this, and then it becomes, well, if you saw Jesus and he had blonde hair, blue eyes, your experience probably wasn't true. If you saw him when he was black, then it probably wasn't true. So it's like it takes away from what is the message, right? And
Exactly.
so I love that. I actually really love that my NDE had nothing to do with seeing, you know what I mean?
A
Like
person
a
or
person.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm
So
so,
your life review,
yeah.
what did you see there? What did
Yes.
that look like?
Yeah. So in my life review, so like in that place that I was mentioning, so at first I come there and I'm like, oh, okay, I know what this is. So my first realization was, this is not the first time that I'm doing this thing. I've done this, I don't know the number to tell you, but countless times. Because I was like, oh, yep. Almost like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, oh, here we go. This is it, right?
Yeah.
And so I remembered what that process was. So I was already expecting what was gonna happen. And there was, so pretty much how the best way to explain it would be, the presence that was behind me um, was the one who was showing me, right? And I was very well aware of um, this, I would say, a power or a force
Mhm.
that was in total control of everything. And so it was showing me, and the way it was like, it's like cards, like if I go like this to you, like
Mhm.
that, like one card, the next card, next card. So it was like this frame was from when I was like born, like a baby. Then another frame, and it just kept going until the last frame was my present time. And each of the frames, like if I would look at the one frame, like when I was a baby, I would see an event, I would see an activity, I would see something happening. That I would look at the next frame. It's like you look at the frame and then it's almost like movies. You know what I mean? It's like you're seeing it like happening. And it's really only when you look at a frame that it becomes alive almost. You know what I mean? Like it becomes active. And
So when did you feel every frame? Did you
yeah,
feel the emotions of that time? Did you?
yeah, I felt, and the thing about it is like, uh, it's so fast,
Yeah, yeah.
so fast. It's like, how is it, how is it, possible, to just like look at a frame and feel everything? And it's not just the feeling everything. For me, it was the knowing,
Yeah.
absolute knowing of, yep, 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 and really reviewing it. I had a understanding of why I came to Earth. And so my life review was reviewing my life in light of what I came to do.
Mhm.
And this is kind of what I always try to explain to people, is that regardless of what you do here, when you go on to the other side, your life review is going to be based on what you came to do here, what you were supposed to do here. So
How
if
well you stick to the mission, how
the
well.
mission, exactly. So like, for example, if you went to take a course and you went to take a course in, I don't know, art, let's say, right? To be an artist.
Mhm.
When it's time for let's review how you did in your course. If you spent your whole time doing math equations, like, okay, great, you did math equations, but nothing here is going to be asking you about the math equation. You're going to be asked, like, show me your lines, show me your circles. Do you
Yeah,
understand color theory? You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that's what you're going to be asked about. So
yeah.
sometimes we come here and we get so um focused on other things, right? Like maybe we have different ideas of what success is and this and that. So we spend our whole life pursuing these things that we think while we're here, this is so great, this is so grand. Meanwhile, when you exit, it means nothing at all because it had nothing to do with what you came for,
Yeah.
right? And
I
so
get
for
it.
me, yeah, and so for me, when I was looking through my life review, it was like I saw all of these things. I saw myself doing, sessions with people and just helping because I've been doing this for like a very long time. A lot of my life is literally just helping, like
Mm-hmm.
service, right? And so I was seeing all of this that I was doing, and it was all great. Everything was, I literally felt to myself like, oh, wow, like that's good. You know what I mean? It was like, I felt very proud about the life that I had lived. And then all of a sudden, it's like the force that was behind me just brought all the frames together. And this was different from what I had experienced in my other life reviews, which I had knowledge of when I was there. All the frames came together, and then all of a sudden, they just like became nothing. Like they just, I don't want to, it wasn't anything dramatic. It's just they came together and just like dissolved,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
just dissolved. And I was like, what? I'd never seen that before. So I was just like, this is new. And literally, this is how, like, exactly how I am here with you. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
hmm, this is different. Like, this is new. What is this? I've never
Like you were
experienced.
getting a message like, that's great, but there's more.
No, it was like, I actually was like, yes, I'm looking at everything. And I was looking at everything I did. And I'm like, I knew everything I was doing that was good. It was good because I was doing it through spirit. I had a full understanding. Like all of this goodness that I'm doing, it really is like, it was really, if you want to say higher self or most high, operating through my
You were in
vessel.
alignment. You
I
were
was
completely in
aligned.
alignment.
Exactly,
Okay, got
exactly.
you. I
So
got
like the
it. Okay.
thumbs up was like,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes, right? Yeah. And then but so when everything came together and just disappeared, I was thinking, okay, maybe that's because, I did all of that through spirit, right? So it doesn't, it's not really, how do you say it? It's like in my mind, I had an idea of, you know, the human soul, let's
Mm,
put it that way, has so many things to learn and to accomplish and to do and such, so many lessons to learn.
yeah,
But everything that I was doing that was so marvelous, I was doing it through, I will say, the aid of my higher self. Let's just put it that way,
I got
right?
it.
Yes, you get me,
So in
right?
essence, you felt like, hey, I'm on track. This is great. Like this
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
awesome. Like
Yeah.
I'm in alignment with my higher self. I
Yes.
am like, yeah. So no,
Yeah,
I get it.
flying colors, like we good.
Like
Yeah.
I'm winning. I'm winning.
Um, yeah. And then so when that happened, I was like, because I knew from the past, so now I have memories of my past lives, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm in this place, and it's not like here where you're kind of like, I don't know if I believe in past lives. I don't know. There it was like, oh, I know. I remember
Mm-hmm.
things. So I'm here now in this place of this life review, and I know what the next step is, right? This is where it gets weighed. This is where we see, like, how did you do? Whatever. So it's like, okay, yeah, check, check, check. I did great. Why did it just disappear? That had never happened before. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where I was like, okay, I thought to myself, and this is the thought I had, and I always have to, every time I share this part, there are people who get offended because they are vegan or vegetarian, and they get upset with me because I'm going to say this. At this point, I had been a plant-based for 12 years, right? So last year, 2024, it had been 12 years. I had been 9 years vegan, and then the last 3 years I was vegetarian, right? So at this point of my life review, I see everything goes well, and I have this thought, and I say, but what about not even being a vegan, being a vegetarian? That doesn't count for anything. I was thinking like, why didn't that show up? Why didn't that show up in
Mm-hmm.
this review as yay? It was nowhere to be seen in there. It did not come up at all. And I remember thinking that
And
like,
this was such a big part of your life, like living this
it's
life.
like yes, I had been for 12 years. I had, helped other people come over to the plant-based side. I had
Mm-hmm.
advocate for it, all of that stuff. I mean, my whole entire family, right? Except my hubby, but all the children. to this day, my four sons are still plant-based. My daughter, she's, more, she eats like other products right now, but my sons are all still plant-based. And which is fine, right? And so I had this feeling of what, how come not, why didn't that show up there, And as soon as I had that thought, here comes this other voice, which I know is God within us, right? Which says that's exactly why. Let's just look at the fact that you would have a thought that shouldn't that count for something is exactly the reason why it doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying? Because the things that we do, there's a level of how do you say, like being perfected.
Our identity. It
Yeah.
becomes our identity. I'm a vegan, or I'm
Yeah.
vegetarian, or I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. And if
Yeah.
it becomes your identity, I think that's where you're going with it. It's
Well,
like,
the thing about it is that whatever we do here, right? Whatever we've come to do here, we've really actually come to expand love,
mm-hmm,
understanding of that. So whatever we choose to do, it should be done in love. So when in the beginning, you're like, okay, I'm gonna be plant-based or whatever the case is, because I don't want animals to suffer and I don't want this and I don't want that. It's like what happens is that you take that first step to stop eating animals. And you're like, okay, good. I'm making my stance. I'm not going to be part of the suffering. For most people, it stops there. For most people, they say, I'm doing my part by not eating an animal. So in actuality, you turn a blind eye to suffering that's happening, because within yourself, you're saying, I'm doing my part. My part is just not eating animals.
mm,
You see what I'm saying? So you're like, my part in this whole mess, I'm just gonna not eat animals. And
I see.
just by not eating animals, I'm doing my part to end the suffering.
I see. Whereas there's so many ways that we could give love and show love and be love,
Yeah.
not just in what we're eating, but all the other things that's
Yeah.
happening
Exactly.
on this
Exactly.
planet. No, okay.
Exactly. And then so what happens is that it's a false sense, like it's like a virtue, right? A false sense of righteousness that
Yeah.
builds up inside of you, because you're like, well, I'm not part of this suffering here,
Mhm.
right? And so um in
Would you
in
say it becomes more of the ego and less of
yeah,
spirit?
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'm not saying this happens for everybody, but this
Right.
happens to me.
Right.
And
Right.
I've spoken to so many plant-based people since this time, and they're all like, you know what, you're speaking truth, because I've experienced this. And they're some of them are still plant-based, but they're like, thank you for that, because I'm gonna check myself, because I actually was thinking, feeling, or going down that road. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
so and so the whole thing is just that sometimes when you become an advocate for something so hard, like no animal suffering, no animal suffering, and I love animals, you actually start hating something else.
That's
Do you see what I'm
good.
saying? So we need to have balance. Like love is balance. And sometimes people are so much for the animals. Like a person could be starving and needing help, and there's a puppy, and they'll choose the puppy over the person.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, where is the love,
Yeah.
right? Where is the love? Like love, and this is the one thing, like after that experience, it's like, with as soon as that was said to me, to check myself, right? Well, look at your thoughts. I knew exactly what that meant. I could see my fault. I could
Yeah.
see my fault totally. I could understand it. I see where I went wrong. I could understand it fully. And so I understood that, like, there is no hierarchy in life. There is zero hierarchy. Over here, we want to put this one over that one and that one over this one and do all these things. And in actuality, in real life, there is no hierarchy in life. Life is life. Yes, we have different levels of consciousness. That's not what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like the life that's in me, the life that's in you, the life that's in plants, the life that's in anything made actually, because everything is made of light, and light is life, and it's love, and it's truth. So everything that we have here is made of light. And so everything has life within it. Even things that we may consider to be dead is not dead. Everything has life in it. Yes, we have things that we could see as living things because they move or they express, but life is light and everything is made of light. Everything, right? And so things just vibrate at higher and lower frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
but it's there nevertheless, right? And so on the other side, it's like if you had to view the tree, you would see the tree is made of light. If you had to view an animal, you see an animal is made of light. The rock is made of light. Everything is made of light. So you're not observing it like, well, I'm going to, give more worth to this tree than this rock because they're made of the same thing. It's just in a different form. And it happens that over here on this side, different forms gives basically light can express itself differently in more complex forms. You see what I'm saying? So like the more complex the form, the more faculties a form has, the more the light has, I want to say like space or room to unfold and to be a little bit more complicated, which is what we call higher levels of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean? So I was seeing all of this stuff and coming back on this side, I understood that there's a level of gratitude that you can have for all things, like whether you're going to eat plants or whether you're going to eat animals, you have to realize what you're taking from the plant is the life. And what you're taking from the animal is the life. You're not taking its consciousness. You see what I'm saying? You're not taking the level of its consciousness. You're just taking that, for lack of better words, you're taking whatever light that you can from this thing to add to your life, to
Yeah.
extend your life. That's it. And we're all doing it.
Yeah.
And we're doing it all the time. And we give our life. Like there are some plants, like some trees, let's say, that maybe don't bear fruit, but they're giving us oxygen. You know what I'm saying? So we are like that. We're like walking trees in a sense. We're a little bit more complex because we can, like, we have fingers and we could move and we could do certain things. But at the same time, right now I'm giving my life,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm giving my life because one day I'm gonna actually go and I'll go and I'll probably be cremated. So, animals probably can't benefit off my flesh or something like this way. But this is how I give my life.
Mm-hmm.
An animal has its way of giving its life. A
Yeah.
plant has its way of giving life. At the end of the day, we all give our life to help somebody else have a better life, have more life. That's what it's about, and so we're here figuring out, how do I want to share my life?
Which is our light and our
Which
love.
is it, our light, our love, you know
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. Okay. Let's keep going because I want to come back to that. But I was just going to say that's the law of oneness, that we're
Yes,
all connected. There's one
we are.
light, one love, one energy here, and we're all connected in that oneness.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And that's clear. Yeah, that was clear. That was
So,
clear.
how did that become now? So, you said that you saw that frame of your life or that thought that you had about, well, I'm been vegan, this should count as something. Where does it go from there?
Yeah, so after that, after that, so I came, like, you mean in the story, right? Like,
Yes,
yeah,
in
yeah,
your experience.
yeah. So I came back into my body, and there are also like things that I saw that I have not shared because it's very important to have the right words to share
Hmm.
certain things. So I just figured that when I have the right words to not cause any form of like confusion or misunderstanding, I think that's when spirit will, because for example, I had uh like I was asking spirit, like, how can I explain Christ? Like, how do I explain this? Because I see and understand the Christ after this experience way different and way more than I ever did on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
The way I see it is definitely not what I was ever taught on the earth. So I had to take some time and really stay in there and be like, okay, how do I explain this? And then I got a vision and everything. And so Spirit didn't even give me words. Spirit gave me a picture to
Mm-hmm.
be able to explain to people like what this idea of Christ consciousness is probably the best way to put it. People would
Mm-hmm.
fight over words. You could never say it right for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. I've learned that. But
So do you and I don't know how things were before this experience, if you were in a certain religion or how you thought of it. Now, do you feel it's an energy? Do you feel it's a consciousness? It's like you said, it's a Christ consciousness, as in this knowing, this enlightenment
Mhm.
consciousness of knowing,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And that it's all within us, and because we all share this one energy as well.
Yeah. Yes. Um, the easiest way, the easiest way to put it is well, I mean, I could give you the analogy that I was given to explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the analogy would be that so when I was asking about, okay, how do I explain this? I got a vision, right? I get visions, dreams, and all these things. So I was given a vision, and what I saw a tree, and the tree was made of light. So this is the same light that I saw in the NDE, right? A tree's made of light, and this tree is sustained on its own. It's like it's living off of itself. It's not your regular tree that you would see out there, right? It's kind of like the fruits. You know how a tree would have fruit and the fruit would fall to the ground, and then
Yeah.
that would absorb the fruit back up. It's
Yep.
kind of like that, but it didn't have fruits. It was just moving like energy, like it was just self-sustained.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at this tree and I thought, oh, that's the tree of life. I understood it because it was just creating life of itself. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the same light that I had seen, which I know is life, right? And so then as I watched the tree, it's like the tree, I could telepathically communicate with this tree. And I knew that this is a tree of life. I knew that this is what we would call most high, or God or however. And I was watching this tree just live and be, and then the tree had reached the tree was already at its fullness, right? And the tree had this desire to expand. Literally, the tree was like, I desire to expand. And I was just watching and hearing this process. And the tree took itself and placed itself, didn't stop being. It placed, like, if you want to say it's DNA, like an encoding of itself, and it placed it within a seed. And then that seed, so then it had like a fruit, right? So this is the first fruit that I'm seeing forming on this tree. And this is all encoded into this seed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see this thing fall from the tree down, down, down into the ground. And then it starts to grow, and it grows, and it's exactly like the first tree. And then when this tree grows, it has many fruit. And then those fruit fall, and all of the seeds are the same. They have the same encoding as the first tree. And then so I understood that this is how Most High expands. Most High expands by creating more of itself,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
And I was shown this seed. This is Christ. That first seed, which is the blueprint inside of every single other being that will ever come into being, right? We all have that potential to know ourselves. And that is really what it is. Like, Christ consciousness is the first, right? Knowing of who you really are. And so if you can, and remember I said that I saw that we were all made of light. So if you come to the place where you realize that the light that you are, it's not even that you're made of light, you are light, right? So when you come to understand you are not just this flesh and blood, that you are light, and that light that you are is literally the same light that God is. You have to really kind of pause there. Even when I even when I, like, speak about it, it's I get stuck sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's such a, the thought of it is something that, someone could just fly by it. But no, if you pause, and I am not saying that I am the first tree, but I am saying the same exact substance that first tree is the same substance that I am.
Yeah.
So in that sense, if I am the extension of Most High, if Most High had a desire to extend and to expand, and in that desire, I was the plan, you were the plan, we are the plan of Most High to expand. The problem is that we're not realizing that we are literally the manifestation of the desire of Most High. Like, we are all here trying to manifest our dreams. Meanwhile, we are the manifestation of the dream or the desire of Most High.
Yeah. I totally understand because we are the creator.
Yeah.
We are the creator. We
Made,
are,
made in literally, like, made in the image and likeness. That's what it's talking about.
that is what it's talking about. And I think for so many reasons, and we'll get into that because I want to know like what was your beliefs and your spiritual beliefs before this. Um, because I personally was never indoctrinated in religion. I
Yeah.
had a spiritual compass and I went by that. And in my home, in my upbringing, it was about love.
Yeah.
Like it was like we're gonna operate in love, and
Yes.
that was major for me because I was never like Jesus this or that or that or that. It was this internal knowing and compass that I followed, you
Yes.
know. So when you get to that Christ consciousness and you know, wait, I am the creator. I am, when I am willing that creative power into everything I say after that, because that same energy that made the trees, that made the birds, that made the rocks, that
Yeah.
made the minerals is inside of me as
Yeah.
well.
Yes. Yeah. And
So,
this, yeah, that's exactly it.
yeah,
And it's not just inside of me. Because, see, when you say inside of me, you're, sometimes when we say inside of me, we're identifying that the me is our body.
right.
When we are not,
Spiritually,
when we are not our body, we
exactly.
are the consciousness that is in the body. So we are.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
We're not any of it, but I usually just say love and energy because that's pretty much what it is.
Well, I mean, on a really, on one level, if you're looking at everything is light, even your body is made of light. So
Mm.
in that sense, yes. But when something, when your body decomposes, you're not decomposing. You are the life within your body. You know what I mean? You're the consciousness,
You're the consciousness, yeah.
yeah, within your body.
And that's eternal forever.
Yeah, well, that consciousness that you are is the all-knowingness of Most High. Like we say, God is all-knowing. Well, God is all-knowing because God is in all, knowing all, because it's consciousness within all of us.
Yes.
Right? Like,
So
yeah.
before this vision you were given, and before you asked Spirit, okay, how do I explain this? What's the words? What was your belief of God or,
Mhm.
who you were,
Yes.
all of that.
Well, my upbringing started very, like I said, my grandfather, right?
Yeah.
He was a healer and all that stuff, but he wasn't really accepted, he wasn't really accepted by, let's just say, like the family, so much so because at that time, you're dealing with the switchover, right, from traditional medicines into modern day medicines. And
Hmm.
people are feeling like if we have to, if we're smart, then we go with the modern thing, the new thing. And so there was a kind of mentality that was kind of, I think, going across the whole of like the world, the Caribbean, even I could speak for there, where it's like if you are holding on to even the way that we speak, like our native language, if you're holding on to these things and you're not speaking English and you're not learning these certain things, then you're going to be left behind in the world. And so my grandfather, him and my grandmother had like 11 children, and they're going to school and they're being educated, and they're being educated against traditions, right? And so that's what I mean to say, like, he wasn't necessarily celebrated, was because it was kind of like, you're not a doctor, where did you go to school, sort of a thing. But nevertheless, people came from all around, the Caribbean, different places to see him, and he healed a lot of people and all this type of stuff. So now that we have gone through however many years, now it's like the people in the family all understand like how powerful
Yeah,
grandpa was,
it
because
is.
now modern medicine is catching up with him. you know Now it's like, oh, that's why he told us not to do this, that's why he told us not to do that. Like, okay, they have to kind of hear it now from the scientists, right? But he was saying these things from a long time ago.
Hmm.
So, but he was the one who pointed out to me, what my gifts were, in the sense that when I would see certain things, or, whatever I would experience, he never let me know that other people didn't experience these things. So I never felt weird around him or
Hmm.
different, because he had those abilities too, right? So I never felt weird around him, and I also never knew that other people didn't have those type of dreams or weren't seeing what I was seeing. But he would tell me certain things, like, like, don't share this with anybody, but never
Yeah,
made me feel it was because they wouldn't understand. It was just like, it's good, it's your little secret
yeah,
type of thing.
yeah,
He was protecting me in that way,
yeah.
knowing I would be, traveling to another country and all of that sort of stuff. And my mom, kind of reinforced it when I went to school up here. She was like, hey, like, do not talk to people about this stuff. They will not
Hmm.
understand it, and so on. She was more forward with it. And as the years went on and my gifts progressed even more, she was even more, um, protective. And so my my grandfather, he really was just more so as a guide, helping me to, understand. It's just like if you have a child and they say like, oh, like there's a monster under my bed, right? Let's just say you'll talk them through it, like, okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
So let's go. That was my grandfather. Like, I would tell him something, and then he'd be like, okay, what happens? Did you try doing that? What happens when you do that? What about when you do that? Oh, okay, so I could just do that,
Hmm.
Nothing, there was nothing magical. There was nothing, yeah, it was just regular, right?
Hmm.
And so for me, spirituality was just like a way of life. It
Hmm.
wasn't even like a thing to study or to learn. It was just being.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just being, right? Then around age 12, I had a spiritual encounter with which really brought me into Christianity, which is where it's a whole other story, girl. But it's basically, I had a kind of miraculous thing happen where, like, my TV, my brother's TV that wasn't working, kind of turned on or got very clear. It was like the fuzzy screen, it got clear. There was a man on TV speaking, and I was planning to do something that was really bad. And the guy said, like, hey, there's someone watching. God is giving a message. You're planning to do this and this and that. And, you're going to regret it. And he was talking about what I was planning to do. And I just found myself in kind of like a trance
Yeah.
almost. Yeah. And he said, place your hand on the TV and I'm going to pray for you. And I just found myself just going towards the TV, and my face had been just like drenched. I was like crying. Like, when did that happen? I was not even aware that I was having a reaction to what
Yeah.
happened, kind of like I was in a trance. But so from there, I call the number because he said, call this number and we'll help you. And the person's like, do you have a Bible? Do this, do that. And I was like, nope.
Okay.
You got to find someone to go to church. And then I ended up
Okay.
finding someone.
So
That
that was
person,
into Christianity. Okay.
that person who my mom found to bring me to church is the woman who helped me to understand that these gifts that I have of dreaming things before they happen, oh, that's a prophetic gift. So she came into play to help me understand, really, like putting, like, my grandfather didn't have names to any of this stuff.
Yeah.
This woman now had names, like, okay, this is this gift, this is the gift of healing, this is the gift of that. So I finally was able to, like, okay, kind of put, some kind of name or something, and have a little bit of an understanding, like, okay, God gives gifts to certain people to do certain things to help, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where that understanding, that's the role that Christianity played, was just helping me to see, why would God give me these gifts? And
Okay.
it's, yeah, so that's the role. And I mean, for years, I mean, the way I read the Bible ever since I was like that summer that I met that lady, I
Mm-hmm.
read the entire Bible within the 2 months. Very weird way. There was like a little blue light that came, like a little ball of blue. It came and it would go over the words on the Bible. And I
Mm-hmm.
followed it and I learned it. And when I would go to church and ask the pastors about those scriptures, they gave me hell for it. Like, that's not in the Bible. And I'm like, yes, it is in the Bible. So they would be preaching and I would be like, well, this is what I just learned by this blue light. And it was always in contradiction. So God had already started showing me, like, there's a lot of corruption and this was from a young age. I was, so many things I experienced. So I learned that in, there's truth in many places.
Yeah,
You could even watch a movie and there could be truth in that movie.
that's
But
true.
then there's mingling, and there's twisting and turning. There's doctrines that people create to suit their agendas. There's all of these different things. So I was learning at a young age how to um, be able to discern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, discern.
Mm-hmm.
And however, whichever road spirit chooses to bring a person, I think always the most important thing is to be able to have that centering within yourself so that you can follow that still small voice, regardless of where, whether it seems like you're going down a religious path or a spiritual path or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, I love this saying. It says, we all have to live up to the light that is within us.
That's true.
You
And that's
can't,
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah, even if you're hearing my words, you're not, when you leave this earth plane, God is not going to ask you, and you're not going to have the thought about, like, hey, did I live up to what Yandea said on that podcast?
exactly.
It's not, it's going to be your own stuff that you're
Yeah.
going to contend with. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, with your NDE, did you, with following Christianity, has things changed for you a little bit?
when
Has
when my NDE happened, I didn't I still don't I stopped identifying as a Christian a
okay.
very long time ago, because
Okay.
yeah, I encountered just too many things. It's like too
Okay.
many people were saying that I'm Christian, and I'm like, how are
Okay.
you not following the message
Yeah.
of
Okay.
Christ, right?
So
So
I got you. You weren't really identifying with it way prior to. Okay.
yeah. I always 100%, I'm always like, yep, when I hear the words of Yeshua, true, checks out,
Mhm.
seems right in
Mhm.
my spirit. And that's about as far as it goes. You know what I mean? Like if there's something that's being said that's contrary to love, it doesn't sit right. That's just it. So I always say that, people say, he's the word of God manifest. And I'm like, well, if someone has a word, words have messages. So if he's the message of God manifest, well, what is the message saying? If you can't understand the message, then you still haven't grasped the person that you're saying is your savior, right? So it's just like, I don't get caught up on names, on words, and these sort of things. It's like, do you understand the message? If you
Mhm.
understand the message, then do what you understand the message is saying.
Yeah.
Don't let other things be a stumbling block, like what denomination you're of and all this.
Yeah. I think like you said, I think it's just is all these things that make us polarized from one side to the other, a lot of division when oneness is love, is light, is life. So my question to you is how do you describe light now? What is your perception of light at this point?
Yeah. So the way I saw light, and I've seen it this way before, but it's different when you see something in this realm and then when you see it in the other side,
Mhm.
and then you're understanding that, oh, this is light. This is what I'm seeing over here, but it looks like this. It's in a different realm, or like we say, like in a different frequency, if you want to put it that.
Mhm.
But light is when I was standing, so it's another part of the NDE, when I was standing in a room full of people, they were all in light bodies, right? And I saw them with different brightnesses of light. All the light was the same, it's just some were more dim than others. And I remember I spent the most time in this place. Like I spent such a long time in this place, walking through and looking at the different lights. And as I would look at the light, I'm looking at this body like a figure, right, of light. And as I look at it, just staring at it, I can clearly see a code, right? A code in the light. I can't tell you, it's not numbers, it's not letters.
Yeah.
Like you just can understand the code. I have never seen anything like it, so I won't even try to describe anything.
Yeah.
It's just that you look at the light and you look at it long enough and then you start seeing the code.
And
And
do you get information from the
yes,
code?
yes, yes, yes. So as I look at the code, the more I look at the code, the more I look at the light is the more I see the code. And so, for example, the brightest lights there were like my husband and my 5 children. So I went up to them first. When I went up to them, so basically everything looks the same except that some are brighter than others. That's it. There's no other variation.
Mhm.
So when I went up to the light, I looked into it. As soon as I looked at it, I could see that's my husband. I could see the code. The other body right beside, I could see that's my daughter. You get
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So without face, without the way the person walks or
Just
talks,
light, just
just
light
like
and information.
you can just see the encoding and you know who it is. And the encoding, whatever the encoding is what that thing is. There
Mm,
is no error in it.
I got
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So I understand that if this is the coding, this is the coding for my husband. This
Hmm.
is the coding for my daughter. This is the coding for this person. So
Mm.
I know that when Most High sees me, Most High sees the code, like Most High sees exactly who I am. So there is no, like you can't lie.
Yeah.
You can't lie, right?
Yeah.
It's like this is your code. This is you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Now, are
mhm.
you because and this is probably just a download as you were talking, almost like it's your code, it's your soul. And it could be somehow the information or the code is how you can be read, how the Most High can read you. Like, okay, there's still some things in this code that maybe need to be unlocked or something like that. Does that?
Yeah, it's not like that because when you're on that other side, everybody there, it's all perfect. There is no
But
unlocking.
everybody has a different code, a different
Yeah,
life code, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Everybody, I wouldn't
Okay.
even call it, uh, I wouldn't even say the soul. The soul brings you into a whole, I wouldn't even say the soul is just like we are still who we are. Like it's hard. It's hard to explain. Like
Things you
because
can't say.
because
Yeah.
because at the whole thing is that all of these lights and all of this code is still most high.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I get that. Even on this realm, right? Even when we see the most painful things that we see on this planet, murder or suffering, that is still the most high. It's in everything.
Yeah, like suffering, that's not see, this is the thing when
That's
I'm
a
saying
human thing. That's a human thing. I know.
yeah,
I agree. That's a human
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But I think that's why it made me think of there, like everyone do have this different, um, I guess, information because, but I think, yeah, that is there is, you really have to understand what we do here as humans and how things go back to perfection as well
yeah.
there.
We're literally just like while we're here, what we're doing is I'm gonna say it this way and hopefully people understand. But what we're doing here is we are literally just collecting data. We're collecting
No, I
data.
get that.
Yeah, we're
Hmm.
collecting data. And when we return, we have a record of what made life enjoyable, what made life not enjoyable, and as we decide to expand, which direction we want to expand. Life is never going to stop expanding. Life is life. Life gives life to life. It's that tree of life. So it is always going to go. It's always going to go. So yes, we experience sad things. We experience things that we maybe consider dark things, but it's that actual contrast that when we go on the other side, we can all say together, remember those wars? That sucked. We don't want to do that again. Like we don't,
Yeah.
that's not a good direction to go. Yes, we learned some things, but is that expansion worth, And so and so all of our experience here from everybody's perspective matters
Mm.
because everybody's the information that everybody brings back is going to be taken into account when expansion is always happening. I'm saying when it happens only because on that side there is no time. Right, it actually is all done already. So, you know, it's so weird to speak about both things at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, over on the other side, everything it's perfect. Everything is already done. It
Yeah.
really is already completed. And we get to be in this space and time experiencing how we got to perfection.
Okay, so let me ask you before I ask you how you're implementing what you've learned in your life currently,
Yeah.
why you wanted to come back and expand in with love. What is your I guess your opinion for the people who feel like love just doesn't seem to be existing for them is something they just can't see the love in their life.
I think we have to first realize like that, okay, when I say something like God is love, right? I say God is love. When I say God is love, usually in the mind of like most people, they're actually thinking love is God, meaning we have all experienced something that we call love. We have all come to some conclusion of our own that this is what love is and this is what love looks like.
Mhm.
Therefore, if love is this and looks like this, then I'm going to fit God into this. And that's what we do. We don't say it like that, but that's what we do. Love is light. Love is all of these things. And then if that's what love is, then God fits into our description of love. And then that's what God is. Well, we've just created a God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But God is love, which means you have to first know what God is. And when you know what God is, then you fit love into that. You have to be able to understand that God is, and whatever God is, that is what love is. So,
So explain that for
okay,
somebody who don't know what God is and they're trying to fit love into that.
yeah. So let's say, well, you could just look at life, right? A lot of us can have that understanding of yin and yang. We understand the balance and the flow, the seasons, right? We can look and we could say, no, I'm looking at balance, and there is a balance that's happening here, right? Seasons, and even the circle of life and all of these different things.
Yeah.
Uh, when you look at that, and you could say, well, that is letting me know a little bit about what how God is. Because if God created nature and this is how nature is, then that is kind of showing me the mind of God or the heart of God. If you believe in the commandments, right? Like, okay, I think God gave us commandments. Some people say the 10 commandments. Some people say God said to love your neighbor as yourself, right? And all these different things. Then all of these are giving you a picture of what maybe what you think God looks like. But ultimately, to know who God is, you have to first believe that God is, that there even is a God, right? To begin with, that there is an intelligent mind behind our existence.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start there, you have to really go on your own journey to discover that. And the only way you're really actually ever going to discover that is really by knowing yourself, because you are the one who's created in the image and likeness of God. So the more you get to understand that light that you are, which is because God is spirit, okay? God is spirit. And so God is spirit, and God made us in the image and likeness of God, which means we are spirit. So if you want to know who God is, then you got to look at the part of yourself that was made in the image and likeness of God, which is the spirit. That is the part that is made in the image and likeness of God. So you take your time to really understand that you are spirit in this temple. The spirit in this temple is the spirit of God. There is not, it is, God is the one spirit birthing everything of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come to understand that, then you go on your own journey to know who you are and to see yourself reflected in God, God in yourself. You understand? You're gonna go through that whole thing, and then from there, there's even that commandment that says, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. You can't love your neighbor as yourself until you love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. But how do you come to know this God to love with all your heart, mind, and soul? If you are to love your neighbor as yourself, it means you have to first come to a place of loving yourself so that you can even love your neighbor as yourself. But there is no commandment that says love yourself. It doesn't say love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, love yourself, and then love your neighbor as yourself. It says love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and then love your neighbor as yourself. The only place that loving yourself could be contained is in the loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. So it starts there with understanding that you are a child of God. You are made in the image and likeness of God. Your spirit, it is, God is the birther of spirits. God is the one who gives life, right? And so
So
you,
would you say spirit is light?
yes, 100%. So what I saw when I was there, first I'll give you my, when my consciousness came to in this place, I saw the lights. It was the room was so filled of people. I could not believe that I had known all these people. I I could not
Yeah,
count. I'm like, when? At what point did I
yeah,
meet? Oh, I mean, the it is, I don't even know the number to tell you
yeah.
the amount of people who were there. And so I was looking, but it was set up where all the brightest ones were in front of me, and then it got dimmer and dimmer. And I understood that the reason the ones far to the back were dim is because I'm going to use this word, I hadn't made love with them. And I understood what it meant to make love, right? Don't think of a sexual thing, but it was being able to actually give of your own essence. You see what I'm saying? Your own presence, your own attention.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to these people. So I could say, like, there was one person who was further back. They were a cashier that I had met in the store, just little interaction, and then I was gone. That person was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there were some people who I thought would have been a lot brighter. They weren't. They were further back. I was
Mm-hmm.
surprised. And then there were other people who were very close to the front. Like I said, the closest ones were my husband and my 5 children.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked through. First, I went to my family, and then I walked through a little bit, but I was there for a very long time. When I first saw, everything was just light bodies. And then I went up to my husband and my children who were on the side. I went up to them and I looked into the light. I looked into it, and I'm like, that is him. That's my husband,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I stayed looking. The more I looked at the light, then the light was transforming, in a sense that it wasn't just light. All of a sudden, I'm seeing the codes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm understanding the codes. And then understanding that I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, everything is made of this same thing. All of these people are made of this same thing. His is not better or less. It's all the same, equal, everybody there.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I looked at it, and I understood, like, this is life. This is his life. This is actually what is life. So
Mm-hmm.
it's this light. And then I understood that that light, the feeling of the light, is that, like, immense warmness, what we would say. I identified it as love, right? Is such an amazing feeling, right? So I identified that as love. I knew that that was love. And then when I was reading the code, I'm like, oh, this is no error in this. That was truth. So I understood that this light is spirit, it's love, it's truth. All of that is what this light is. And I saw that this is the light that created the worlds, that created, it's in everything. So it went from being on the people to all of a sudden being the essence of literally everything that exists.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see a tree now, I could see a tree with my regular human eyes, or I could see the tree, the code.
Yeah. With your spiritual vision. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So and that's for everything. Everything everything is what it is because that's the code of it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
No, yeah, I love it. So how have you implemented this into your life? How are you making more love? How are you doing this?
well, I am making more love by sharing,
Mm-hmm.
the story of, what I've gone through. I'm still, in my practice, I still have my practice, right? Where I see clients and I feel like I'm more helpful now because I just I just have so much more peace and
Mm-hmm.
understanding. I just, it's hard to say, but I just kind of like get things more, like when a person is talking to me, I can kind of just vibes. It's just very different. Like, I can know when someone is talking to me and they're lying. Like, I could know when, you know what I mean? Because there's a, like,
It's a knowing.
truth has
Yeah,
a signature, truth has a vibe, right?
yeah,
And when you spend so much time in that presence, it's very easy to know what's not that presence, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And I'm able to help people more because if someone comes to me and they're telling me something and I could tell, okay, it's definitely okay. She's saying that, it's really this, it's really that. It helps
yeah.
me to be like, okay, so do you want us to deal with this issue? And then they're like, you know, oh, how did you know that? And I'm like, well, you came here for help. That's why you know what I mean? This is why I know it, because you want to be helped. So let's get rid of all of this stuff, and
Yeah.
let's deal with the thing, right? Let's deal with the problem. So all
Yeah.
of it is just love. I feel
Yeah.
like any practice you have, if you, even with what you're doing, if you just bring yourself to be more present,
Oh,
if you
presence is
yeah,
everything.
if you just bring yourself to be more present, even as a mom, as a lover, whatever you may, a teacher, anybody, we can all just become more present, realize like this moment you have with this person, this may be it.
Yeah, literally.
Like this may be it. So just give of yourself, be there, hear them, see them, try to understand, what are they saying to me? What are they trying to say? Don't be in your own mind trying to have a rebuttal or your next thought. Just be present. Just let that person talk and give them all your attention.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually listen to them, then when it's your turn to talk, you actually say something that's meaningful,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
So presence is big. You've implemented.
Presence is, you cannot make love without being present.
That's true.
Cannot.
Has it been difficult? You know, after experiencing such immense love and feeling that, and then coming back into your body and getting back to the things of life, although you know your mission, or okay, I need to redirect some of the things or why I was doing some things. Has that been difficult? Has that transition been difficult for you?
Well, the most difficult part was the first 2 weeks
Mm.
after the NDE. I was like, it took me like those 2 weeks to like recalibrate, is what I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
recalibrate,
getting back into
getting back.
this
Yeah, I
frequency,
was,
maybe,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah, it was terrible. Like I remember just, it was gross. It was gross. Like when, like, it's like my spirit was still not like wanting to stay in my body, right? So I had lost over 40% of blood
Yeah.
of my, so that was like already like a health thing. But I never went back to the other side like that. I was just in and out my body, in and out my body, and not wanting to stay in it because I could feel the heaviness.
Mm.
It's like mucky waters. You see what I'm saying? I could feel like that first water I was in was crystal clear, and there was nothing into this coming back into this realm. You literally experience, it's like going through crystal clear water and then diving into tar.
Yeah.
Thick tar mixed with cement, mixed with, it's like so
Yeah.
thick, it's
Yeah.
so thick. And you can tell that, oh, you could just feel the twisted. You could see like everything is twisted.
Mm.
Nothing is straight. Nothing is straight. Everything has a little bit of a lie, a little
Little
bit of
distortions,
a story,
little.
little,
Mm.
nothing is pure. Nothing is pure. So I was like, God, I do not want to be here, but
Yeah, that's
I
difficult.
asked for it. But when I came back into it, I was like, can we, you know,
Yeah.
can we have another?
Yeah. So
But
that was a year ago. How are things now? How are you balancing? Because I think that's a big part of being awakened to divine love, and then doing the work on the earth in the body. How has things been now that it's, over a year now?
I think it's been great. It's been a lot of um seeing that the the things that would really annoy me about people, it's very easy to see those things in myself. Even if it's not in myself now, it was in myself before. And so it's a lot of forgiveness. It's
A lot of compassion, I
a
guess,
lot
right?
of compassion, a lot of like, okay, I understand. I know what that was like. Like when I had all these vegans, there was so many mean things that were said to me, because it's like, I guess they feel like they lost one for the team, right? So it's like so many wicked things were said. I have Christian people who say terrible things about me all the time. And I'm like, the vegans and vegetarians are supposed to be the ones all about love and not having, not wanting suffering. And then the
Yeah.
Christians are supposed to be speaking this message of love. So I'm having, and this is two things that I identified with before.
Yeah.
And now I'm being like attacked by these two things. But here's the lesson in that. These are all your shadows. This is what Spirit said to me. These are your shadows.
Yeah.
These are your shadows. This is your past way. This is your, you literally created these things.
Mhm.
Look into the mirror. This was you. This is a shadow. It's not, remember, like you have the light. When the light shines, the light could shine onto my form and then it casts a shadow. A
Mhm.
shadow is not who I truly am. This is who I truly am, right? And what the light does, the more light that comes into your life, is the more distinct you're going to notice your shadows. The more contrast there's going to be between the real thing and the shadow. And so now when I encounter people who have that, you know, feeling towards me, I just remember, oh, there was a day, Yandea, when if someone didn't say Jesus, you didn't think that they even were close to knowing God. And so I just take that in and understand where that person is, and
Yeah.
I just love them, you
Yeah.
know. It's like, what would I need someone to say to me to help me along my path? Even if I didn't receive it then, but maybe later on I could think about it and say, oh, you know what? At least I'm glad that that person didn't just cuss me out, but
Yeah.
they were kind to me in my ignorance, right? Or whatever the case is. And so that's what I try to remember. That's really my only work. my
Yeah.
only my only work right now is coming into contact with all of my past selves, so to speak,
Yeah. Yep.
and loving me, you know,
Yes, yes,
loving me.
that's so true because we have all these different aspects of ourselves
Yeah.
that have been, left in different parts. And then we have to
Yes.
bring all of that back for the wholeness and love all of that. That's so true. That's
But
a great point.
love reconciles
Love
everything.
heals. Love is,
Yes. Yes.
how do you, so what's your definition of love now? What is your newfound,
It's the same
how do you
definition.
describe
It's
it?
the same
If
one.
you couldn't say God is love, how would you describe it?
Well, I would say, well, because God is. God is, right? God is isness. And
Yeah,
and for me, love is,
yeah.
love is.
Love is amazing.
Yeah.
It's it's beautiful, it's healing, is like you said, it rectifies, it transforms, it transmutes, I mean, it's beautiful.
Love also destroys.
Love destroys.
Love
Love
destroys.
destroys.
Love destroys. Love
Love
also gets
destroys.
angry.
Yeah,
Love, you see what I'm trying to say? It's that
yeah.
we have an idea of love that is so one-sided.
Yeah. I think the divine love, and I just try to use that because it just I don't know, it's like I just feel like it keeps it in the middle, almost like you used before. It keeps it in that balance, in that sacredness,
Yeah.
in that unconditional, because it's true. Everything has poles. There's the
Yeah.
law of polarity. So, and love is in all of that.
And
So,
love is appropriate, right? You see what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like love is it's your ability to be appropriate. Like in this moment, am I able to do what's necessary for the highest good of all involved? Am
Right.
I able to do that? Be appropriate. What's appropriate in this moment may not be what's appropriate in the next moment.
That's
You
right.
have to be able to be present.
And it's
And
moment by
it's
moment, and that's the presence.
yes,
It's moment by
that's the
moment. That
presence.
is so
Exactly.
true.
Exactly.
Yes. Yandia, is there a book you would recommend to our listeners that would help them, maybe on their journey, whatever it is? Is
Well,
there
you know,
anything that you read?
I am an author. Am I allowed to promote my own books?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we'll definitely give you an opportunity to just let our listeners know how they can reach you for services, all that good stuff.
I have two books that are out now. One is Birthing the Christ Within, and the other one is Know Thyself. I highly recommend these books. When and if you get them, you will read the beginning of it, which explains how these books came to be. Actually, they're tied into the miscarriages
Mhm.
that I had. The last one, Know Thyself, is people always say, like, did you get to see the baby that you lost and all of this sort of
Mm.
stuff? I'm like, that baby gave me a book.
Mm.
So and not only a book, but the opportunity to minister and to speak to so many people. I always think of it, it's 12 weeks is how long, let's say, that I was pregnant.
Yeah.
For the past 12 months and counting, this child who didn't stay in the earth plane has reached so many people.
Mm.
It was through that incident that I was able to have that experience, and then to be able to even be here talking to you and sharing.
Yeah.
So that life to me, such a little life, but such a big life.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. We may look at it and think that child didn't live because they weren't born into here. But again, it's what is the life giving, right?
Oh, that's
Are
so
we
powerful.
are we able to receive the life that this life is giving? If I was closed off to love and to what love can look like and
Mhm.
how love can come, I would never be able to accept that through the loss of my child, any good could come from it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I accepted that love looks different, that love is. And regardless of what the situation looks like, I am loved. Whether I am giving birth to a live baby or I'm going through a miscarriage, I am loved. I am being loved and I am loved.
Right.
And so, because I know that, I can freely share my experience, and whoever is looking for love will feel that love, will hear the truth, and it will continue to expand, because
Mhm.
that's what love is. Love is life. It's always expanding,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
That's beautiful. What's one way you would or just how do you think someone would start that process of self-love? Because I think that is the beginning, like you mentioned before.
Self love starts with a very easy way, very, very, very easy way. It is gratitude. And it is gratitude for, guess what? The one thing you have that nobody else has, your body. You have a body, and you can only imagine how many other beings would love to have your body.
That's true.
It is
That is
yours.
so true. That
many
is so
beings,
true.
many beings would love to share your body or have your body, fully
That,
possess your body, but your body is yours.
that's
And unless you give permission to anyone to be up in your body, it's your body, right? And so you have dominion over your body. Your body is a gift given, created through, your level of consciousness. If you were, a dog, you'd have dog consciousness. You get what I'm saying? Your
mm,
consciousness, your level of consciousness created your form, which is what you have, this human form. And it is a blessing to have this body that you have, you
yeah.
know. And so be thankful for it, however it is, be thankful and make it better. When I
Yeah.
say make it better, find a way to eat healthier, exercise, sleep, listen to it. It's like if you have a car, just start thinking of your body as a house or a vehicle. If you came home and you're like, wow, inside my couch is wet. Why is my living room floor wet? Oh, there's a leak in my ceiling. You would want to fix that
Hmm.
immediately. You would want to do whatever is necessary to stop that from happening. So when you realize that, my skin is breaking out, why is that happening? Okay, something's up with your diet, something's going on, or maybe it's something you're allergic to. My hair is falling. My, I don't know, all these different things. I'm constipated. my stomach hurts when I eat certain things, or when you get what I'm saying? Like, you
Yeah.
look at what is happening in your house, in your vehicle. It is a gift that you have. Take care of it. Show gratitude. If I gave you a gift and I went away and I came back and I saw it was all rusted or all, I would just think, this girl doesn't love me. I gave her this gift and she's treating it like crap. She
Mm.
doesn't love me. But even if I gave you a gift and it wasn't expensive and you took such good care of it, I would think, wow, she loves me.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that she really loves me because she is keeping this gift so well.
Yeah.
She loves me. And people often ask, like, how do I show that I love God? Whatever God gives you, take care of it. God
Yeah.
gave you life, take care of the life. God gave you this body, take care of the body. God gave you family, friends, whatever, take care of it. The land you live on, the trees outside, just start being appreciative for the things that you have.
Yeah.
That is the first beginning of self-love.
That's right, girl. That is, I mean, that's it. Gratitude is, I mean, it is so it's powerful because it attracts so much more to you. We get so much more to be grateful for.
And
So,
your food, please.
oh yeah,
Be thankful for your food. Whatever you choose to eat, give thanks. Yeah.
exactly. All right. And what would you say is the greatest matter of your heart today at the time in this present moment? What is the greatest matter of your heart?
Word it a different way. Word it a different way. Say it a different way. Like, rephrase the question.
What is on your heart in this moment right now?
Yeah.
And it's wide open. It could be your family, your children, whatever. What is on your heart right now?
On my heart right now is a person who would be listening to your podcast, who is maybe struggling with feeling a feeling of self-worth, maybe struggling with understanding or receiving, this message. That's kind of what's on my heart. I'm hoping that that person could feel me and could feel my voice and could feel a connection and can have the strength to stay a little bit longer and
Mm,
just open their heart to say, you know what, creator, source, most high, whichever words, I'm in this position that I'm in right now, and I need your help. Just help me to see who I am in you. Help me to understand. Help me to find a place to begin, whether it's through a friend or just through rest. Help me to sleep. A lot
yeah.
of us are struggling because we're not getting good rest. So that would just be my thing. Right now I'm just feeling for the person who will see this, and it won't be easy for them. I just want them to know that they're not alone. You may not know me, but I love you. I'm sure I saw you when I was on the other side. Well, I love you, and hang in there, okay?
Yeah, and I am in agreement with that. That's beautiful. All right, Yandea, how can our listeners reach you, get in touch with you, get your books, maybe get some sessions with you,
Yeah,
whatever it is?
my books are on Amazon. They're on another website also, but it's easiest on Amazon. You could just look up Yandea, High L. I guess you could probably put that in your description, but
Hmm.
Yandea space HAI space EL, Yandea Hayel, that's my name. So you look that up on Amazon and you'll see the books. They'll pop up. And also, if you wanted to go to my website, you can at iamabama.com. And if you wanted to email me, you can email me at divineabama@gmail.com.
Yeah,
And
I'll put that all in the link. I'll put that all in the show notes as well.
I welcome anyone to, follow me on Instagram if you want to, at dream_manifestation_specialist. And obviously my YouTube, which is what I would love. I would love people who watch your podcast to come on, like I was sharing with you. I
Yeah.
just want regular people to share their love story. Just regular people Doesn't matter what you are, what you're doing, just come on and share your story so that someone else can hear it and be uplifted. And that's at Yandea DMS official. That's my, but you put it all. That's my YouTube.
Yeah, I will definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yandea, it's been a pleasure. I'm just so grateful. I am in a lot of gratitude that you were able to come and just share your beautiful story. I too love hearing amazing um, divine love stories because I know it's life changing. It's so life changing, and you're never the same once you experience it. So I thank you so much for that. And guys, I'm gonna put all of her information in the links. Is there any last messages to humanity? And then we're gonna wrap it up.
Last message to humanity. Wow. I will say, know thyself.
Ah, that's so good.
Know thyself. Know thyself. Know thyself.
Ah, so good.
And when you know thyself, love thyself. And
Oh my gosh, that's so
even if you don't know thyself yet, still love what you've come to find out and
yeah,
keep
that's
going.
beautiful. All right, guys. Well, Andia, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And that's it, guys. We'll catch you guys at the next episode. Until then, take care, guys. Lots of love and lots of light. Take care.